All right, as people age and as people want to stay home and the older population, you have to do something to take care of yourself in a better way. Either make some home modifications, take steps to be safer. So what we've done is we've brought in independent living, and I've got Jonathan Rossell here today. Jonathan, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
All right, so you're going to help us guide our way through the home modification and how to stay in your house. So the first one is, what is home safety modification?
Well, home modification, there's actually a specific definition for it, and it differs a little bit from just standard home repair or home renovation or home remodeling. So let's talk about that. Repair is specifically to fix something that's broken. Renovation is to restore something maybe that's become dilapidated. Remodeling is more sort of a complete reimagining of something. And home modification is a broader, more umbrella term that sort of encompasses all of those things, but doesn't necessarily imply, fixing anything that's broken. There may be nothing really wrong. We're just adding. So we actually have a definition from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, their Agency on Aging, and they define home modification as any changes made to adapt living spaces to meet the needs of people with physical limitations, allowing them to continue to live independently and safely. Now, these modifications can range from something as simple as replacing a cabinet doorknob with a pull handle, or full-on remodel and construction involving wheelchair ramps or complete bathroom remodels and things like that.
All right. So why is it important as we age, and why do we need help with our bodies as we age?
Well, aging is something that happens to all of us. We can't get away from it. And there's a lot of things that just going through the natural aging process is going to cause our bodies not to be able to do everything that we used to be able to do. But illnesses and injuries can also accelerate those processes for different people. Things such as high blood pressure, diabetes, or osteoporosis, some of the big ones that we've probably heard of. Now, these natural changes plus these changes accelerated by injury or disease limit our strength, our reach, our flexibility, memory, and balance. And the limiting and changing of those things require certain adaptations and changes in our home environment.
Gotcha. So then you also can say why is it important when it comes to the fall prevention then too.
Well, exactly. So I learned an interesting fact about walking. Walking is actually we are basically falling every time we take a step, and we are carefully catching ourselves. There's a quote by a paleoanthropologist named John Napier. It says, "Human walking is a unique activity during which the body, step by step, teeters on the edge of catastrophe."
Well, there you have it then, huh?
And if you read into this, it's incredibly interesting about all the mechanics that go into just going step by step. And so obviously, as we're aging and our bodies are changing, that becomes more and more challenging. And falls are such a big problem because we have 1 out of 3 older adults, people over 65, who are falling each year. Over 95% of hip fractures are the result of falls. And people age 75 or older who fall are 4 or 5 times more likely to be admitted to a long-term care facility for a year or more. So falling is a huge danger, something that can really impact quality of life and health. The good news is it's also something that a lot can be done to prevent.
And that's where you guys come in. And so to home modification, there could be just a universal design. So maybe talk about that.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, home modification is sort of an umbrella term encompassing all these different things that can be done to make a home safer and extend people's independence. Universal design is a specific concept within home modification, and it has to do with how you're going about making these modifications. And we have a definition here from the National Association of Home Builders that defines universal design as the design of products and environments to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. So, sort of one of the hallmarks of universal design is when you walk into a space, it's accessible to a wide variety of people, but it's invisible. You don't even notice.
And I have to speak to this because I run on an EMS service as a volunteer, and the falls and the way places are set up, you could walk into one resident and you know right away that there's just no universal design there, or it's changed because they've become older or whatever. So it's a super important thing, and to top all this off, you have some items to show us too, right?
Yes, and before I get into that, I just want to say, sometimes people have a difficult time putting a visual to what is universal design. So I have two very simple examples that you have likely seen sometime today if you've been out in a public space. One is lever handles, and I have a couple pictures of those. Maybe we'll get those up later. And that is, instead of a door knob, a round knob, you have a handle which anyone or almost anyone can activate with or without, a lot of hand dexterity, or even say if your arms are full, you can move it with your elbow, all kinds of stuff like that. The other is rocker light switches. So instead of the regular little light knob, this is a larger rectangular switch.
Oh, okay.
Again, very easy to operate, something that you don't need a lot of dexterity for. And honestly, when you walk into a space, it's universally designed, but it's sort of invisible to you. So if some people are thinking about home modification, wondering what maybe they can do on their own or what they can do with very minimal expenditure, I brought a couple items in to show. One of the more universally popular pieces of equipment for home modification, and that is something called a grab bar. This bar that I have here is just one style by one manufacturer. Grab bars are trending towards universal design. The purpose of a grab bar is really to give folks something to hold on to in areas where there may be a risk of falling due to poor balance, or maybe a slip hazard, or maybe just needing an extra hand to hold on to when you're moving up a step or something like that. Right, this is a little bit less glamorous and something that oftentimes folks feel maybe a little bit uncomfortable talking about, but this is part of my everyday work. One of the areas where folks may struggle is getting on and off the toilet. And many older toilets are very low to the ground. There are a lot of more modern ones that are higher and easier to get on and off. And so it's possible to simply replace your old toilet with a newer one. But for less money and less cost, you can put what's called a toilet riser on there, which simply raises the height of the seat. Very easy to get on and off. Any handyman can sort of do that. And for little cost, you can extend the life of your old toilet, making it easier, more accessible, and safer for getting on and off.
Well, there you go. Two great tips among everything else that we've learned. So, Jonathan, I want to thank you for coming in. You can check out Independent Living. You got a website?
Yes, we do. It's independentliving.org.